Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Faithful Dawgs podcast. I am Tyler Johnson. I am joined by full crew this evening, Zach DeFranco, Jack Robinson. Gentlemen, we finally have preseason football to preview here. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Good. It's a beautiful evening, man, in Northeast Ohio.
It is a beautiful evening. Definitely can't complain about the weather. I think it's starting to finally cool down a little bit, so I'm pretty happy about it. I don't know if you guys are, but before we get into tonight's show, we are going to be joined by special guest Tyvis Powell, former Ohio State national champion. He helps out on a lot of 97.1 The Fan shows and also does the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. He will be joining us around 8:30 this evening to talk some Browns. And remember, guys, that the Faithful Dawgs podcast and Network 216 is proud to be a partner of Underdog Fantasy. Right now, Best Ball Mania 3. We talk about it every single week, but we're getting closer and closer to the regular season. So you're running out of time to join Best Ball Mania 3, a chance to win up to $10 million in total prize money. You get to draft your team against other people in a live draft lobby, and they're going to double your first deposit up to $100. You don't have to keep up with your team every week and start the best player. Underdog does that for you. Your top scoring players will be your starters every single week. And so, again, use code 216 so Underdog can match your first deposit up to $100.
And it's football season time, too. Like, it's tough. Those baseball props are hard, man. I can't lie right now. Dude, I lost some money. But it's football season now. I should be in some better luck.
Yeah, exactly. And you make a really good point, Zach. And also, if you guys see it at the bottom of your screen, we have our sub goal that we are posting. Our goal is to get to 100 subscribers here, hopefully before the start of the regular season. So if you guys can just subscribe to the channel, again, you can do it for free with Amazon Prime. Jack created a crown for you guys to click. It's very easy. It's very easy to do. Just click that crown. You'll be able to subscribe for free with Amazon Prime. Or if you'd like to gift a sub to someone or even just purchase a sub, we would really appreciate everyone's support. And keep in mind, you do have to subscribe to the channel every month. So just keep that in mind too. But as Christian, is this a waffle-loving podcast? That's a subject for another time.
It's an easy answer. Yes, it is.
No, that's an opinion. That's an opinion. Can't speak for everybody there, but
oh my
okay.
God.
Anyways, Zach, you and I were at training camp this week, and so that's kind of where I figured we'd start tonight. Yeah. Jack, apologies.
I was there too. I was there yesterday.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, me and Tyler went Saturday.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but either way, since I didn't know you were at training camp, but all right, the first thing let's get into observations from your day at training camp. So I'm going to start real quick. So for me, the tight ends were terrible. David Njoku looked awful. He looked like he was going through the motions. He couldn't catch. Big surprise. Harrison Bryant had 3 drops. And I know I've seen reports, Jeremy Fowler reported today that Harrison Bryant has been doing very well in camp. So maybe that was just an off day. But David Njoku did not look good. Zaire Mitchell-Payton, the undrafted free agent out of Florida Atlantic, looked like the best tight end on the field on Saturday.
You brought the juice.
Yeah. And Zach, we talked about it. This cornerback room is absolutely loaded. I mean, there is some serious talent there.
The DBs especially, but this defense is just like you're watching them. And of course, when you see clips on Twitter, people are gonna be like, "Oh, you paid $230 million to this quarterback," but it's like, no, they make every quarterback on that roster. Watson down to Rosen. I mean, yeah, but Watson down to Rosen.
Maybe not Rosen.
They just make them look like fools, and especially Saturday. This defense is top notch. I think it's great for the offense to have to go against them. You can tell the wide receivers and cornerbacks like going up against each other. It's fun. It's exciting. Like it's something special. That this DB room alone could be top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think we could be up there with the top DBs in the AFC North, and that's saying something with the Ravens and the Steelers.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I everything I saw of the DBs on Saturday was fantastic. It sounds like even before we got to training camp, the defense has been winning most days. I mean, they've looked really good. I know we still haven't seen Denzel Ward, but it looks like Jeremy Fowler also reported that it looks like we're going to get him back by the end of the month. He'll be able to practice. Greg Newsome, though, I'm telling you. I mean, Jack, you might have seen it when you were at camp too. He is looked on another level. I mean, Greg Newsome on Saturday, there was nobody getting anything by him on Saturday.
Yeah, he was locked down. He's been locked down all camp, but all I remember is just seeing that every single time a pass went his way, no matter who was throwing it to him, he was batting it down, or it was getting contested, or he was just basically making it impossible for anyone to catch on him. And I mean, he was doing just things that I didn't expect him to do in his second year. And that's even with Jacoby looking really good. Jacoby had a really good camp on Tuesday. Like he was throwing really nice passes. He was actually like putting a lot of nice spin on the ball. And honestly, that's something I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting him to really come out and really show that he could pick up this offense and really, he could, like, people think that he doesn't have an arm. And I know that people are like, he's not very mobile. He's not very strong, but he has a nice touch to the ball. He can get it done when you give him a decent receiver to throw to. And I mean, David Bell was out there, so that was great to see. Amari Cooper just is still looking incredible. Anthony Schwartz had a really good day on Tuesday. He was actually getting open. He was running really clean routes. I know Jacob and Nick talked about it last night. They talked about what they saw. They were at a better angle than I was, I think. So, but they saw a lot of really nice touchdown and red zone play from both David Bell and from Anthony Schwartz. So I think that our DBs are really good, but I think that's gonna. You guys were kind of saying like iron sharpens iron. It's going to make our wide receivers just that much better at, catching in contested situations and really just refining their route running, which I think Anthony Schwartz especially needs.
Yeah. I'm glad you said Jacoby Brissett looked good on Tuesday, because on Saturday he looked awful, and that's really putting it nicely. He wasn't completing passes. He was very slow at making decisions. It just did not look good. So, I mean, I'm glad to hear that he looked better on Tuesday. He's going to need to pick it up. I mean, there's no denying it. I mean, I think, too, he needs to be getting more reps at the ones, at least on Saturday. I don't know if you could tell, Zach. He was not – to me, he did not get a lot of reps with the ones.
No, it was mostly Watson.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad to hear Jacoby stepped up. I was really impressed, too, with Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford looked like he belonged on the field. And we're going to get into it a little bit here, the running back situation moving forward. But I love what I saw at Jerome Ford. I think he, down the line, not necessarily this season, or depending on what happens, he will have a role at some point in this offense. He runs hard. He can hit the hole really quick. He looked really explosive on Saturday.
Yeah, and it's good. I mean, obviously, like you said, we're going to get into the running back room, but with Hunt not taking those reps with the team up until that point that we were there, it's good for rookie running backs and like Jerome Ford, and then you got Jonas Johnson to get more of those reps, because like we're about to talk about, there could be some writing on the wall. We don't know what the running back room is going to look like even going into this season now. So that being said, it's good for like Jerome Ford to show like, maybe he should have been drafted earlier in the draft. And with this offensive line, it's probably easier for a lot of running backs to look like that. But him alone, he just looks solid, man. He looks very elusive, very, very good at finding the hole, and just he kind of reminds me of a little mixture of Chubb too. He's a hard runner too. He's a pretty big boy. So I'm pumped to see him in the preseason as well.
Yeah, Jerome Ford. I really like Jerome Ford, but another guy I have to give props to, because I've been hard on him at times. I know he showed out well last year at training camp, but Donovan Peoples-Jones was the best wide receiver on the field. And he should have been with Amari Cooper not there. But I got to give props where it's due. I mean, he's looked very good in training camp to start.
He's looking like he's ready to take over a wide receiver 2 role. And I know coming into the training camp, all of us were like, okay, who's it going to be? Could Bell possibly take wide receiver 2? Is DPJ just going to take it and run with it? And I know Bell is just starting to get back, but it's looking like DPJ is willing to take that role, but he's also looking like Watson's favorite target. So something to keep an eye on right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. And one of the other things about training camp that I thought was just overall, just performance-wise, we have to get into a little bit. The whole Kareem Hunt situation now, is it really a situation anymore? I'm not sure, but Josina Anderson was talking about how Kareem Hunt was holding out. He wasn't in team drills. He was only going through individual drills. So, Jack, I want to start with you. Where are you at with this Kareem Hunt situation? It's clear that he does want paid, and I think even though it wasn't announced publicly, it seems like he was fined because the Browns can fine him for doing that.
Mhm.
And I think that might have happened because it took 2 days of reports and then he was back. So it's clear he wants paid. A lot of fans want it to be here. What are your thoughts on this whole situation?
Well, I mean, I think that Andrew Berry made it very clear to him that just he's not getting paid at this moment. I just don't think that it's possible for that. And also that I don't know who gave him the idea that that requesting a trade right now would be a good idea, but that didn't help him at all. That I don't think that there was any chance that he was ever going to be traded. I don't think anyone's going to give up a valuable asset at this point in training camp for Kareem Hunt. But at the same time, I think that I think everyone understands that Kareem wants paid, and I think that a lot of people want it to be here. The issue is just how much do you really want to invest in that running back room when almost all of our cap has already been kind of accounted for in our quarterback, multiple DBs, Myles Garrett, Nick Chubb just got re-signed. Like, how much do you really want to invest in your running back room when you're going to have to maybe even make a decision on Jack Conklin next year? There's a whole lot of money that needs to be allocated to bigger positions of need. Like, obviously Kareem's great, but Nick Chubb signed here until 2026. So like we don't need two of the best running backs. And I mean, just looking at what Jerome Ford can do, looking at, I mean, hell, even John Kelly looked really good at yesterday as like that third or fourth running back. I didn't see Dearness actually even play like that. Like, we have other options at RB2. It doesn't need to be Kareem. Now, would I love it if Kareem came back? Yes. But do I think that if he gets what he's worth, because I think we all think that he's easily a running back one on like 16 other teams. Like, half the league would love to have Kareem Hunt as their number one running back. I just don't think that the Browns are going to be able to get him at a rate that they can actually fit into the salary cap without having to lose another player of value.
Well, I mean, I just don't think they want to give up like $20 million to the running back room.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of those positions, especially like I said, for us, like we have one of those offensive lines where it's like you could put Dearness Johnson back there and he's going to look like a stud, dude. I mean, he's not a running back one on the Browns or on any team, in my opinion. He's like a borderline running back two on most teams, in my opinion. But you put him behind this offensive line, look what he did against Denver alone. So, yeah, I mean, I just don't see him paying $20 million to two running backs. I want to see Kareem here. I think Kareem wants to be here. It's just you got Nick Chubb in front of you, man. It's just the unfortunate situation.
Yeah.
Also, with Kareem Hunt, man, like, you got to read the room. I mean, you know what's going on with Watson right now. This is a very odd time to be doing this.
What do you mean? What do you mean? The fancy says a normal training camp, dude.
Oh yeah, it's always a normal training camp when it comes to anything Browns related.
Yeah.
But like with Kareem Hunt, I mean, you have to know. I'm sure, like you said, he wants to stay here. He's not going to get paid by the Browns. It's just not going to happen unless he takes quite a pay cut.
And he's not going to. I want fans to understand that you only get so many chances in the NFL when you're a professional football player to get your bag. You only get so many chances. He already took that discount because the Browns gave him a second chance. So he's not going to do it again. He's proven that he's worked things out. He became a good role model in Cleveland. You know what I mean? Like he got his head up back on his shoulders after that whole stupid situation that he went through. Yeah. He's gonna go get paid. He
shouldn't take less than what he's worth.
No, exactly. Because no player should. If they can go get money, look at Christian Kirk. He would be dumb to take less to go somewhere else. Just I want to stay in Arizona because I want to play with Kyler Murray. No, go get your $20-some million a year and be one of the highest paid wide receivers in the league. You'd be dumb not to.
And it caused it's going to cause a lot of commotion. But if the Browns get a suitable offer for Kareem Hunt, I would take it now. I know people don't like to hear that. Kareem Hunt, like, he's a luxury at this point for the Browns to have. The fact that they have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, even have had him for this long period of time, having two elite running backs, man. No one else has had. Dearness Johnson has shown that he can be a running back too in the NFL. And quite honestly, you can trade Kareem Hunt, get something for – if there's a team that comes in with like a 4th or 5th round pick, as opposed to letting Kareem walk in the offseason for nothing, which is at this point where this is heading, you could re-sign Dearness Johnson, 3-year contract, $2 or $3 million a year. You have Jerome Ford. There's your running back room. And Dearness Johnson can –
I just think it's tough to let someone like him walk. That's such a vital part of this offense. Like, we can't deny that he turns his offense to a different level. when you don't even know who your quarterback's going to be all season. So,
well, I'm not gonna lie. I think Kareem actually did himself a disservice with like announcing that he wanted to be traded. I think if he had come to Andrew Berry and said, "Hey, if you could, if there's like any sort of chance that I could get traded, if there's like any sort of offers that you're hearing about, because I think a team, if they didn't know that Kareem had requested a trade, they might have offered like a 3rd round pick. There would be a team that would give up like a 4th or 3rd round pick for Kareem Hunt's services. I mean, he's that good. He's that big of a difference maker. But I think that he really didn't do himself any favors by announcing that he wanted to be traded, especially considering that he is on the last year of his deal. He's going to be a free agent soon. So he's not like, why would Andrew Berry trade for pennies on the dollar when he can get use out of you as a running back on the contract that you've already signed?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like with Kareem Hunt too, Dearness Johnson, the Browns are about, at the end of the day, they need to look ahead and try and save money because Watson's contract at some point is going to come into play here. And like Jack Duffin said, they'll probably restructure it, so on and so forth. But then Denzel Ward's contract, Myles Garrett's comes into effect, has been in effect. Nick Chubb will come into, I mean, at some point you got to pay the piper. And Kareem Hunt, it just doesn't make feasible sense for the Browns to pay Kareem Hunt as a top 10 running back when you're already paying Nick Chubb that type of money. And Zach, because I get what you're saying, I don't want to lose him for nothing. That's why, like, if an offer comes in, we don't know what's going to happen at quarterback. But if an offer comes in, I'd rather get something for him now. You still have Dearness Johnson because let's say Kareem walks next year, and let's say Dearness Johnson, like he's running back 3 here still, and maybe the Browns really like Jerome Ford, and Dearness is like, well, I'm just going to leave too because he wants to try something new. Well, then you're really screwed. I mean, so that's kind of the way I look at it. Is there's no guarantee that really even Dearness Johnson comes back unless the Browns can work out a deal at this point now because he's on a 1-year deal for about $1 million. Yeah. That's where he's at. So, I mean, you could lose Kareem and Dearness at the end of the year. That's why, I mean, if you get an offer that's suitable, I think you got to take it. Let Kareem get his money because he's done a lot for this organization. We've done a lot for him too. And a lot of people are saying, well, like we gave him his chance to come back. We did. And he's shown that he's learned from his mistake. Now let him go get his money.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
I wouldn't fault him at all. Like I said, that you got to go get your money. But I think at the end of the day, he does want to be here. I think at the end of the day, he's going to try to make his agent and be like, okay, see what Cleveland offers first. But I can't see it because he could, on the market, like, let's be realistic here. He could probably earn up to $8 to $10 million a year, possibly. Do you think I'm wrong for saying that?
It's so tough with running back contracts now. Ever since the Le'Veon Bell deal, no one wants to pay a free agent.
Well, and Zeke too. Zeke doesn't help either.
Well, true, but I mean, as far as like actual like paying a running back that gets the free agent like that, free agency, Le'Veon Bell is kind of a cautionary tale there. Kareem Hunt doesn't have necessarily the mileage on him, but Kareem, I believe, will be 27 when he hits the open market.
So Chubb's making, correct me if I'm wrong, 12, right? 12.5?
Yeah, 12.5, I think.
Yeah.
12.5. Dude, if you can get Kareem for 6.
Well, I don't know. I don't think he'd take it.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd take that.
I really think he's to the point to where if someone at this point, I don't think he cares where he goes. I think he wants paid. That's what I get personally.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, the thing is that like Tyler, I understand your point with like Le'Veon, but the other thing about Le'Veon is that Le'Veon took a whole like year off of playing because of ego issues, and not to mention we don't even think he was. Who knows if he was even that good in Pittsburgh, or if that was just the offensive line was just so elite at that time that he was able to, that just because he had pretty decent athleticism, that he was able to capitalize on that. Because the second he got to the Jets and he wasn't able to have like an offensive line that completely just destroyed. I mean, the dude was averaging like 40 yards a game. The dude was completely shot. Like, obviously that's also partially because probably his mind just wasn't in the right spot for playing football. But I mean, Kareem was elite in his rookie year with the Chiefs. He was great his second year until he got cut. And then he's been nothing but a great player for the Browns, even as a receiving back. So I think that I just don't think we've seen a guy of his caliber that has such like, for sure, like he's a sure thing at that running back position, like go to the open market and really get a chance to get an upgraded contract. Like, I just don't think that we've really seen a lot of that. A lot of the things we've seen is people like Melvin Gordon, who, he has an issue with his knees, or he has an issue with his leg, and then he gets a smaller deal with the Broncos, and now they're replacing him with Jameson Williams. I mean, like there's a bunch of, like, even Todd Gurley got cut because of it, because he has arthritis, and like he goes and signs for minimum deals. Like, so I don't think that the situations are the same, and I think that kind of might create an issue where, like, you're comparing two different things in terms of how running backs get paid on the secondary market. Because Kareem, I just think is such a great talent, and doesn't really have any health issues that people have to worry about, other than the injury last year.
See, I get what you're saying about Le'Veon Bell, because that all does. I mean, going from Pittsburgh to the Jets, I also think it's a situation. Le'Veon Bell was pretty much run into the dirt in Pittsburgh. I mean, he's kind of what they're doing to Najee Harris now is what they did to Le'Veon Bell. So that one's tough. I'm not a Le'Veon Bell fan really by any means. I do think, though, I mean, at that time, Le'Veon Bell, I don't think you can deny his talent. I mean, he was a pretty talented running back, and one of the things that made him as great as he was is his patience once he got in the hole. And you're going to see a huge drop-off when you're going from Pittsburgh to the Jets. Le'Veon Bell was chasing a payday, and there's no doubt. But also, Saquon Barkley, I don't think he's bad either as a running back. I also think he's had a lot of injuries and a terrible offensive line with the Giants. So I get what you're saying there with Le'Veon Bell. I just think also, though, situation matters too. I mean, Saquon Barkley, I think if he was with the Browns, this dude's probably the best running back in the league. I really do. I think he's that talented. And I think Le'Veon Bell, if he stays in Pittsburgh, I don't think he has the career drop-off that he has. I mean, at least
Don't you think an argument that, could be made is maybe Chubb wants someone like Hunter? I mean, obviously he does. He's made comments that he does. But don't you think for his career's sake, he wants a running back like Chubb there with him to split these carries, to prolong both of their careers? Like, I understand money is money and it's going to play the biggest role. But don't you think Chubb and Kareem would both be happy to be on the same team together moving forward? Like, that's got to mean something. They got to be at least talking about this. You can't just be like, oh, no, can't pay you. Let's find a trade partner. Like, Andrew Berry's got to be trying something with Kareem's agent.
I'm sure he's trying to do something. I also think there's a fine line on how far on how high a number the Browns are willing to go on this, because you're paying a guy like Nick Chubb to be a top 5, which he is, top 5 running back money. So when it comes down to it, if Kareem maybe does want 5 or 6, great. And at that point, you can talk, like, I'm good with that. It's when you get more than that. I mean, this year, Nick Chubb is going to be making a base salary of $1.2 million. I mean, you're at the point next year, his cap hit's going to be 14.8. So I think they'd like to do it. I really do, because they seem to really like both of them. They seem to have a really good relationship, and I'm sure Nick Chubb would like that. I'm sure he also understands, like Kareem Hunt, this is a business. And I think Dearness Johnson, I'm not saying he's Kareem Hunt, but he's a guy you've seen that can step up when it matters and be productive for the Browns. He's by no means a guy who can have the type of receiving effect that he can. But again, Demetric Felton, you can move around. You can have Demetric Felton coming out of the backfield catching passes. I mean, there's a number of ways the Browns can address this. Even because the writing's on the wall. Kareem Hunt will not be a Brown next year, and it stinks, and I hate talking about it. But we said the same thing about Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr.
Well, we didn't expect both of them to be gone. We thought one of them would be gone for sure, and it just so happened that one of them was off the team before the offseason started. So it was kind of an interesting situation with that prediction. But
I had a feeling both would be gone, just the way it would, because you just had a feeling Juice wanted paid, which is fair. In OBJ, things just weren't working out here. And the writing seemed to be on the wall there too. But, I mean, with Kareem, we'll just have to see what happens. I mean, I do think he'll be here this year unless the Browns just get blown away with an offer. I do. But I do think the running back room is a situation moving forward that I'm curious to see how the team addresses it, because Demetric Felton's not playing running back anymore. And that was something I wanted to talk about with you guys, because there's a huge injury the other day at training camp, and prayers go out to Jakeem Grant and his entire family for suffering another Achilles injury. Jack, there's talk that Jakeem Grant might not even really go after this rehab very hard. That could be the last we see of Jakeem Grant. He is going to, by the time he would recover, he'd be in his 30s at that time. What are your thoughts on this? How do the Browns move forward? Are you looking to go out and add a guy because now you're down a wide receiver too, because they were getting him the ball a lot in camp. Demetric Felton can step in as a kick returner and be that slot guy, but now you need depth. So if you're Andrew Berry, are you going out trying to make a move? Are you looking at these undrafted free agents you have in your roster? How are you handling this moving forward? Because Jakeem Grant will be a huge loss for the Browns, especially in the return game.
Well, I definitely think that they're going to be looking at Demetric Felton to really fill in at that wide receiver and kick return spot. I think that we've already seen that he's kind of already started to take the majority of the reps at the kick return position. I don't think we want to see any Donovan Peoples-Jones back there because it wasn't very good last year. And I think they also don't want to risk Donovan Peoples-Jones getting injured, because then that's your like number 2 or number 3 wide receiver injured. And that's like, that's a recipe for disaster. I think that they're definitely going to try to maybe just keep molding Demetric into that role as a kick returner, and also try to keep him in the loop as like a slot receiver or somebody who can kind of go into that role wherever you need him to. But I do think that they definitely are going to start looking more into either one of these some free agent that's out there. I don't know because obviously we've heard about Will Fuller saying that he's going to wait it out with Deshaun. And at the same time, I mean, there's a lot of free agent wide receivers or a lot of the undrafted wide receivers that we have on our roster that I think that they've been doing a lot of research on. They've been getting them a lot of reps. I mean, we've been hearing about Mike Woods II and how he's been progressing like really well in camp. So I think that they're going to keep just going to a lot of these guys and hope that they can just step into that role that Jakeem was trying to fill in. I mean, Jakeem wasn't going to fill in like a huge wide receiver role, but he was still getting a lot of reps. So I think that they're definitely going to want to find somebody that can that can fulfill his productivity while also trying to figure out how they're going to address the kicking situation. Because I mean, I don't know if they really trust Demetric Felton to handle that role long term.
Zach, what are your thoughts on this whole situation? Obviously, it's and I say tragic for Jakeem Grant. This was a guy that was working his tail off and looked like he was putting in a ton of time to really have an effect on this Browns offense and also in the return game. Had his best season as a pro last year with the Bears. Second Achilles injury, and at this age, it's very hard to come back from that.
Mm-hmm.
His career might be over. So what are your thoughts overall on how the Browns address this?
That's the thing, dude. Like, that's the thing right there. It's not just like, it's an Achilles injury, he'll be back in a year. It's the same Achilles injury in 2018. Like, a lot of people don't come back from that, and I hope I'm wrong, but like, that's just tough. Like, we had a Pro Bowl returner, something we lacked last year. Let's be honest, last 2 years almost, we lacked in our return game on special teams. Someone that was going to change that. And then he came in and looked like one of our best slot receivers too, making plays and being a vital part of the offensive line. So it's just really tough to see. I was really looking forward to seeing him play. I don't know how else to say it. Address it wise, I think they really are going to go with Felton at slot receiver. I think he makes the most sense. I don't know if you saw it too Saturday, Tyler, but that dude is quick, man. He's savvy. His route running ability, especially in the red zone, it's amazing. It's like what I want to see out of Schwartz basically in the slot sometimes. But he kind of reminds me of a quicker, more savvy Jarvis Landry. Even he does. Like, his route running is just amazing. We have if he can make it as a slot wide receiver, I think his career alone is gonna go way farther than if he would just stick at running back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Demetric Felton, I was one that said he could have been a surprise cut, and after they moved him to slot, I had a feeling that wasn't going to happen, because I don't think you're moving a guy to slot for an offseason in training if you're just going to cut him. I think they really have a plan for Demetric Felton moving forward. As far as with Jakeem Grant, the whole thing is awful in itself, and I hope we can see him back on the field. I do. It's just sounding like that's really not going to be the case with him, and you just feel so bad for a guy that works so hard. I mean, again, had the best season he had in his career with the Bears. The Browns signed him. We had this all-pro returner, and I know he wanted to make an impact here. So hoping he comes back. I think if they're going to look and bring somebody in, the option that makes the most sense, whether I think they should do it, is Deshaun Jackson, just because he does have return experience. But right now, guys, we are joined by Tyvis Powell. You guys can give him a follow. He has been on the show before at Tyvis. So, yeah, he's definitely been on the show before. He is also on 97.1 The Fan and the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Tyvis, how you doing this evening?
Look at this entrance, man.
Hold on, I gotta plug my mic in.
Gosh,
It's all good. It's all good. Hey, I saw him hop in here, so that's my bad. It happens though. It happens. Oh man, but yeah, I mean overall, guys, the situation with Jakeem Grant is definitely a sad situation. But Tyvis, thank you for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. Glad to have you back on the show.
Can y'all hear me? Am I?
Yep.
I'm coming through my mic.
No, we can hear you pretty well.
I mean, I have the same mic. I would check it real quick. I have the same mic. I'm not even using it, but I have the same mic.
Oh yeah, see, it wasn't.
Look at me go, man.
Yeah, hold on, wait a minute. It ain't even.
All right, no worries.
Wait a minute, let me plug this in.
You tell Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show production, I'm right here, bro.
Tyvis, I love the hat, man. It is so nice.
Thank you. I done wore it down. Now I got to get a new one. I'm actually trying to, because I said I wasn't going to wear my hat again until they got over five games over 500, which they did yesterday. So
yes, sir.
I just recently started wearing it again, but it's like worn down, and I got to get a brand new one. So yeah.
Well, again, we really appreciate you joining us. We know you're definitely a busy man, but we wanted to start off and get your perspective on the Deshaun Watson situation and where you think this whole. I mean, we know we've all had to talk about it ad nauseum. I mean, we really have. Where are you at with this whole situation? Do you think he ends up getting suspended for a year? There's been talk it's 10 to 12 games with a massive fine. Where do you stand on this whole situation?
If he gets 10 to 12 games with a massive fine, I would consider that a win for the Cleveland Browns. But I mean, Roger Goodell's is the guy who's in charge. It's been a terrible process. It's unfortunate that the players agreed to this CBA. It's really came back to bite him in the butt with this Deshaun Watson business. But I think he's publicly come out and said that he won 17 games. And after saying it yesterday, he's basically telling his judge who he appointed, hey, this is what you're going to do. All right, I'm just telling you 17 games. So I see him being suspended the entire year. It'd be interesting to see when they drop it, if they will drop it before the preseason game. I think that's another slap in the face. Because how about you going to warm up to play in a game and then it comes out, hey, by the way, you can't play because you're suspended indefinitely. Like that would be another slap to the face. So I could see that happening as well. But I would personally like to see him go out there and play because this is a guy who hasn't played in a year. And I would like to see him knock that rust off and get the feeling back like, man, I still got it type thing.
Yeah, and I mean, you kind of mentioned the NFL a little bit. There's no secret that they have really botched how this entire situation should be handled after they agreed to the independent arbitrator, Sue Robinson, and the NFLPA did as well. What are your thoughts on just how the NFL has handled situations like this in the past?
Well, obviously in the past, it's been things that's happened that's been way worse. I hate to say it like that than a couple of sexual assault. It's been rape. It's been women that's been physically abused by men, and they've all received 6 games. Obviously, the Ray Rice thing happened. He received 6 games, and then the video came out and made him suspended indefinitely. So I think that's kind of where Sue Robinson was at. I think in her ruling, she really wanted to give 3 games. She said because off of if it falls under the policies, it's really 3 games, but I'm gonna do the unprecedented thing and give them 6 games, which I really shouldn't be doing, but I'm gonna give them 6 games. And I think she kind of opened the door for Roger Goodell. I don't think that they were necessarily looking for her to give the correct punishment. They just wanted to get the guilty. They wanted her to say he's guilty. And once she said that he was guilty, they said, yes.
It's not even.
Thank you. Your services is no longer welcome. We got what we needed out of you. Go to the side. Let's take it to our guy, because now it's justifiable for them to say that he was guilty of something. Because prior to Sue Robinson, the argument was, well, he got 2 grand juries that say he's completely innocent. And now you got Sue Robinson who's coming in and saying he is guilty of something, of breaking the policy. And that's all the NFL needed. And now they can act accordingly.
And it's not even like, oh, she just said, oh, he was guilty of something. She went and put the word predator in there.
Yeah.
She went and put, egregious, the worst case NFL's ever seen.
Yeah.
She went and, she said all this stuff where that whole last part of the document, when you read it, you go, that right there, that opened the case for them to appeal this.
Yeah. And
I think we all saw it coming.
Yeah, and I'm not sitting here. I'm not going to defend Deshaun Watson anyway.
No,
that's not the frustrating part. I think people get the misconception of that people are rooting for Deshaun Watson. That's not what it is. The only thing that I'm upset about is the process of it. It's not a fair process at all. Like, it's all one-sided, and then that's where the argument is at. Forget that Watson did. Obviously, he obviously did something if they found him guilty in this. So it was something that he did. He does deserve to be punished. It's the fact that the NFL gets to appeal it, and then. So what was the point of you wasted basically a month of our lives with Sue Robinson because you knew what you wanted to do the whole time, but you made us wait it out. And as Browns fans, I think that's where we're frustrated at.
And also just the fact that they obviously thought that they had evidence of some sort of breach of their terms, and they knew that they wanted to get this. So the real question is, why didn't they a year ago put him on the commissioner's exempt list? Why didn't they make it clear that they want to investigate what he's done? They don't want to allow him to be like a member of their clubs or anything, and just put him on the exempt list, make so he can't be traded, he can't be dealt to any teams. It seems to just strange to especially a lot of Browns fans and a lot of people around the league who are looking at it like, why wasn't he put on the exempt list if they were so convinced that he had done something wrong and that they knew that something was going to come out and then he would end up getting one of these year-long or indefinite suspensions?
Well, from what we hear, that the Browns didn't anticipate a year. Obviously the contract situation makes it look like they anticipated something. Everybody that we've talked to said that they, at the most, were thinking 8 to 10 games range if he was to be suspended. So this is if he does get suspended for the whole year, it does come as a shocker to the Browns. But you can see that they kind of move accordingly to plan by getting Jacoby Brissett. Obviously, Case Keenum was the guy last year. They got rid of everybody in the quarterback room and brought in Jacoby Brissett and Josh Dodd. So I think they kind of knew that he wasn't going to be available the entire season. Obviously, Jacoby Brissett is a well-respected backup that can get you through. But if he is out for the whole year, I think that was unexpected by the Browns. But to answer the reason why he didn't get on the exempt list, I think that's probably why, because they wasn't anticipating that it would be a full year suspension.
And Tyvis, do you think, because a lot of fans are questioning this, and it's rightfully so why they are, do you believe that the Browns really did their due diligence with this situation before they went after Deshaun Watson?
You know what? I think it was one of those situations where I don't think they did it as thoroughly as they put it out to make the world seem that they did. I think they did reach out to a couple of people. Well, they say they didn't. I think they basically asked Deshaun Watson, "Hey, Deshaun, come on, let's talk. Behind closed doors, cut the BS, give it to me straight. What exactly are we dealing with?" And Deshaun Watson probably explained the whole situation. And just like those grand juries said he's innocent, they was like, "Oh, okay. It ain't that. It's not that bad. He shouldn't get. You really shouldn't be suspended for a whole year. If you do get it, probably be 6 to 8, 8 to 10 games. We can deal with that, And I think that's how they moved accordingly. Obviously, they didn't do it as thoroughly as they said because the victim said that they didn't reach out to them to talk to them at all about the situation. So if you didn't talk to them, obviously you didn't do it as thoroughly as you said you did. So,
well, Andrew Berry claimed that he hired a private investigator himself or something like that, didn't he?
Yeah, I think
yeah. I don't know about that.
If you ain't talked to him, then did you really do it? Did you really do it as thoroughly as you said? No. So they kind of dropped the ball on that one, but it says a lot. That the biggest story behind all this is that the Browns are willing to go through all this just to not have Baker at quarterback. Like that's the part that's crazy. They was willing to deal with all of this and get rid of Baker, and knowing that all of this possibly could happen. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as we're talking quarterback, it brings up a point that Twitter has talked about. We have talked about it like as a group as well. Let's say Deshaun Watson does get a year suspension. Mm-hmm. Are you confident rolling with Jacoby Brissett for an entire season with a quarterback room of Jacoby Brissett, Josh Dobbs, and Josh Rosen? Or are you looking to possibly go get a Jimmy Garoppolo for a season or Gardner Minshew, or maybe trade for one of these quarterbacks for a year? Because the Browns have a team that can win now, mm-hmm. right? And like Jimmy Garoppolo is a guy that has taken his team to Super Bowl. He's taken a team to the playoffs multiple times. How would you handle this quarterback situation if Deshaun gets a year suspension?
If Deshaun Watson gets a year suspension, I'm absolutely 100% going to get Jimmy Garoppolo for the simple fact that you owe it to everybody on that roster. This roster will be completely different next year, and everybody has come in and wanted to run it back with Cleveland, especially on that defensive side of the ball. You got guys that's ready to go. The only position that's really kind of iffy right now is the wide receiver room, which you will have to address. But with the team that you have, I think Jimmy Garoppolo is the perfect fit. Obviously, y'all know I've been a Jimmy D fan since last year. I kept saying it, and a lot of people wonder why. Well, I am kind of biased because I did play with the guy in San Francisco, so I am a little biased in that area. But I do think he fits this scheme perfectly. If you look at San Francisco when they went to the Super Bowl, this team is built pretty much the same way, run game first, great defense, and have a quarterback that you kind of don't put him out there to sling the ball 40 times a game. He makes 20, 25 passes a game, all manageable throws, and you put him in situations that he can succeed in. And I think when you look at Kevin Stefanski's offense, it's very similar to what Kyle Shanahan runs. I don't think it'll be a problem for him to come in and learn the playbook. And I think he does a great job of distributing the ball. And ultimately, the guy is a winner. Whether you want to say that, he cost games in the playoffs or whatever the case may be, whatever the false narrative is, the only thing that's true about him is that he does get hurt a lot. But you are securing that with having a good offensive line that should be able to protect him. So if you want a guy that can come in and make all the key throws that you need to make and has shown that he can take a team to the Super Bowl, obviously they didn't win it. I am a little biased. The defense did give up some plays in that. He could have took them again last year. Tart dropped that interception in that Rams game that completely changed the whole game. But I ain't even going to go down there. He gets it done when need be. And, I would definitely – I think they owe it to this roster to get a quarterback who they can truly believe in. Because in my mind, if you're a quarterback and you come in this league and you confess to yourself that you are a backup quarterback, I think it's hard – mentally wise to get yourself ramped back up to be a starter. Once you say to yourself, I'm a backup, I think that's it. You for the rest of your career, you're going to be a backup. You can't really switch that narrative. And I think Jacoby Brissett coming in and admitting that he is a backup guy and he's just ready when his number's called, I think you can't really you can't roll the dice with a guy like that for 17 games.
So you bring up Stefanski's offense, and like we saw that under Baker, that kind of Baker's a game manager, just make the plays when we need you to. Does Stefanski want to run that offense anymore? That's the thing, because you go get a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, where this dude can throw 40, 45 times a game, but also throw for 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, for 5,000 yards a season. So Stefanski probably came in this year thinking, oh, man, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to show
Absolutely.
I'm going to show the whole league what I can do. My playing call abilities, 11 personnel finally.
Yeah.
But
I would ask you this. I would rebuttal that with this. You ain't running that offense with Jacoby Brissett anyway, so you can let that go. That's first of all. Secondly, with a hurt Baker Mayfield last year, the Browns were still in a lot of games. Even though Baker couldn't make all the throws, the Browns were still in a lot of games. Could you imagine if he has a quarterback that can actually make some of those throws? Not all of them. You don't need him to make all the deep ball throws and all that, but just some of the passes that Baker missed or some of the routes that he decided not to throw because he, quote unquote, couldn't at the time. Imagine that you have a guy who can do that at the time. you'll be in a lot of games. You'll still be able to win some games, and I think that's all you want. You want to give yourself a chance to win games. And like I say, Jacoby Brissett, he's not terrible at all. The one thing that Jacoby Brissett does do is he take care of the football, which is key in this, especially when you're a backup. You got to make sure you can take care of the football. But I think the boxer gets stacked, and they'll put the ball in his hands and force him to throw the ball 30, 35 times a game. Can he do that? Will he go out there and win the game on a week-in and week-out basis? I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, and I think kind of with the quarterback room in general, if you're going into the season with, and again, it's not a shot at Jacoby Brissett, but if your quarterback room for this year is Jacoby Brissett, Josh Dobbs, and Josh Rosen, that's not a good situation. You have to add talent at that position. Yeah. And you go into the season, you bring in Jacoby Brissett because, like you said, the Browns probably were not expecting this to be a year suspension. They're expecting probably 8 games, 10 games. Jacoby Brissett can hang in there and compete and possibly win you those games. But you're talking for a season here with this roster. You can't waste another year of prime Myles Garrett, prime Nick Chubb, prime Denzel Ward. Like, you got to show these guys that you're trying to do all you can to win a Super Bowl. Yep. And Jimmy Garoppolo definitely gives you that best chance to do that.
Absolutely. And then they need to add a wide receiver because we get very thin at the position.
Getting slim there, man.
I do believe that they have a plan on bringing in a veteran receiver. Knowing from experience, there's no veteran receiver that wants to go to training camp, so I don't think you will see them in these couple of weeks. But towards the end of the preseason, I do believe that they will make a signing, and you just got to trust the vet. Like for example, an Emmanuel Sanders. You really think Emmanuel Sanders at his age is about to come in and go through training camp?
36-year-old Emmanuel Sanders.
Doing that. No. So when round week one, maybe the last preseason game, you sign me. I do that week of practice, and then we come back the next week. I'm ready in shape for game week, and we can go from there. But I'm not doing no camp. I'm just telling you right now.
See, we were talking about that before you hopped on about the wide receiver position. The Browns like Demetric Felton in the slot, and we were at training camp on Saturday, and he looks the part as a slot wide receiver. I mean, he's a guy who's explosive. He runs really crisp routes for a guy who was playing running back last year. So Demetric Felton looks like he could be a good piece of the offense. The Browns also have some undrafted free agents that are intriguing. Mike Woods has looked decent. But you do agree you think they're going to go after a veteran receiver? Because there are a lot of people that are still saying they're going to roll with what they have.
I mean, you roll with what you have but what you have right now is kind of dinged up. You know, you got to get some insurance in there. And I think that's what they need. Right now, we don't have any insurance. You got Woods down with the hamstring. You got David Bell, who's coming off the PUP list with a foot injury. You got Schwartz, who's coming off a knee injury. Like they're banged up. And if push come to shove, you need a guy who you can depend on that's going to be there and that can get it done. But I think that's why you add the veteran wide receiver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. I love hearing that because I've been saying this for a while. They need to go out and do that. At this point, you can never have enough talent at the wide receiver position.
Yeah,
and right now, I think they're missing some of that talent, especially with the injuries.
Yeah, I think that they are all talented. The problem is it's a bunch of question marks by it. Like the only receiver that we know that's good to go and game ready that can make plays on the weekend and wake out is Amari Cooper. Outside of that, DPJ is a question mark. We don't know what we're going to get from him. Schwartz has been a question mark. Felton has never played the position. Like David Bell is a rookie. These is guys that we're going to depend on, but we don't know yet. Like we don't know exactly what to expect. So I think you need a solid guy that you know can get the thing done if everybody else doesn't pan out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're actually have football to talk about. Believe it or not, it's been a long time since we've actually been able to talk about football. But the Browns have a preseason game this weekend. Yeah. And with just going into preseason, what are you most looking forward to seeing? I mean, it looks like, as of right now, we're going to see Deshaun Watson play on Friday. Some of the starters are going to play, it looks like. What are you most looking forward to seeing out of the Browns this Friday?
I just want to see some guys. I want to see these young guys play. You know, some of the guys that we're dependent on. I don't know how much of them we will see. I do need to see like a David Bell. I watched him at Purdue. I know what he can do because I watched him do it against Ohio State. So I know what the guy is capable of. And I was a huge fan of his coming out. I just need to see him do it at the pro level. You know, some guys, sometimes the college level they don't translate to the pro level. It takes some time to adjust. I want to see if he's one of those guys that could pick it up because we kind of gave up Jarvis Landry just for David Bell. Yeah. Obviously, we gave Jarvis Landry was the guy David Bell would be filling the shoes of Jarvis Landry of what he was asked to do in this offense. So I want to see if he mentally can handle that. Is he tough enough to handle it? Because we're talking about Jarvis, who was a tough guy, the heart and soul of this team that brought this dead franchise back and a tremendous leader. And can David Bell be that guy? I don't know. I guess we have to see. I want to see if Schwartz can he catch the ball consistently? I know he's coming off a knee injury. I don't know how much he'll play. I do know he's practicing again, correct? I think he's back.
Correct.
I think he's back practicing. So we could see him. And I would love to see Michael Woods. I hope the hamstring is good enough for him to go out there because he is a name that's really been tearing it up. And then lastly, Jerome Ford. I mean, we've been hearing, he's just the best catching running back out the backfield since Marshall Faulk. So I want to see if he goes out there, if he can put it together, because if him and Dearness Johnson can do really well, I think that does make Kareem Hunt a little bit expendable. And I think that's something that's one of those things that they should explore. I was one of the ones saying that I would trade him for Roquan Smith. I got a lot of backlash for it, but you got a player like Kareem Hunt who you're basically renting for 1 year because they're not going to pay him. And you got Roquan Smith who's on the last year of his deal. You might as well flip him and let them play because you're not going to pay neither one of them anyways. But when you have one of those top tier linebackers, middle linebackers, that's a game changer. It seems like with the Browns, they don't really value that position that much. Middle linebacker in particular is not one that they care about. Obviously, we let Joe Schobert go, and we've been having any guys been filling in and out since then. When it would be nice to see if that middle linebacker position with having a guy like Roquan Smith who's talented, that's actually I think he's a Pro Bowler, really. Right? I think he's Pro Bowler. Having that guy at middle linebacker, see how that enhances your defense. Because if you are going to roll with Jacoby Brissett, that defense is going to have to come play night in and night out. You're going to have to be like giving up 14 or less points, and you might as well put it at the middle linebacker position.
Do you think they do that though with Anthony Walker and Jacob Phillips? Do you think they actually go make that kind of move?
I don't think so. The Browns as an organization it seems very loyal. You know, they love what they have and they value what they have. I mean, those guys are cheap.
and Anthony Walker, from what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing too, is he's like the favorite guy on that team. You know, everyone's rallying around him.
I actually had one opportunity to play with him when I was in his rookie season when he was with Indianapolis. I was with the Colts for that preseason. He's actually a really good guy and a really good leader. He was one of those guys as a young guy. You'd be like, oh, I could see you becoming like one of the Mike linebackers that people listen to that can get the attention of your defense that people arrive for. So that's not shocking to me at all.
Mm-hmm.
And Tyvis, do you think that there's really a chance that someone's going to offer like a crazy good offer for Kareem Hunt sometime during the season? Because I mean, Tyler was talking about it earlier. I mean, you don't really see a lot of running backs get good offers on the open market. Mm-hmm. So I just don't. Do you think that there's any chance that Kareem, is on another team at the end before the end of the season?
Not necessarily. If Kareem Hunt was to get dealt. It would have to be like a team like the Bills or something like somebody that will really utilize him. And if the Browns do care about him and want him to get paid, they would deal him to a team that could utilize him because that way he can get paid instead of just being a number 2 running back. I don't think for the rest of his career he's going to say, I want to sit behind Nick Chubb and split carries for the rest of my career. I don't think he wants to do that. I think
Nick Chubb wants it. That's for sure.
Of course he do. You some of them hits off my body, please. But I think that people get greedy in this league. People, especially running backs, you only have this much window of getting the bag. So if you got a chance to get it, you got to do it while you can. And he's 27, he'll be 28 this year. So I mean, I get why he wants to get paid, especially with the D Watt thing going down. His utilization is going to go up tremendously this year with them running the ball a lot. I just think he wants to just feel secure, and I get that. As anybody that knows sports, like, you will understand why he wants to get paid. If you're about to get utilized a whole bunch this year, I want to be compensated for it.
And just coming off an injury as well.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think, Tyvis, I mean, because we talked about this too, and I think the writing is on the wall with where confidence in Dearness Johnson, drafting Jerome Ford. Do you believe this is Kareem Hunt's last year with the Browns?
I do, because I don't in this day and age, you really never heard of a team paying 2 running backs top dollar. Nick Chubb already got paid. They're not going to pay another one, especially when you got 2 young guys that looks promising.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And as we wrap things up here, what is your prediction this year for this Brown season? Now, again, there's a lot of caveats to this because
a lot of asterisks.
But
this is a lot of variables on this.
Yes.
But hey, we asked you last
situation one.
We got to do it again. We got to do it again this season. I mean, Deshaun Watson, he's suspended for the entire season, hypothetically. You go get Jimmy G, because I do agree with you. I think if he's suspended for the year, they're not rolling with Jacoby Brissett. I think they're going to bring in a guy like Jimmy G or someone that can start, and Jacoby can back him up from there. So
they did that in New England. They both, I think, Jimmy G was the starter for like 4 games. Got hurt. This was when Tom got suspended. Jimmy G came in, won 2 games or something, got hurt. Jacoby Brissett came in, won 2 games, and then Tom came back. So it's not like those two don't know each other or have chemistry. So it is,
Mm-hmm. Where are you at with it? Like, let's say Jimmy G is my dog's running through, so you get to hear him.
Oh no, that's my dog.
Oh no, my dog is actually like my Mel is right next to me.
Oh, my dog's sitting right here begging me for something.
Well, there's
Odell.
Anyway, as far as like this season, Odell. Okay, sorry guys.
Named the dog Odell. Wow.
Yeah,
right there. That's
we got him about a year and a half ago, and we named him Odell. My wife liked the name too; it was unique.
Yeah.
And then the Browns released Odell. So yeah.
Well, this is the good news is there's still an Odell in Cleveland.
Yeah.
This is true. There is still is an Odell. But anyway, apologize for the dog. But as far as everything else goes here with the Browns this season, how do you see this team finishing? Because the AFC North is up for grabs. Cincinnati, they had a great year. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to come back down to earth, though. I mean, their schedule is very tough. The Baltimore Ravens are going to have Lamar Jackson again this season. After that, remains to be seen. There's a lot of drama in Baltimore right now. Pittsburgh, they have Mitch Trubisky as their quarterback. What do you think ends up happening with the AFC North, and how did the Browns perform this season?
All right, so who's that quarterback?
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay, Jimmy Garoppolo's at quarterback. Okay, but Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback, I could see him hitting that 10 win mark. I think I could see the 10-7. That seems about, with everything that they're going through, that seems like it could be favorable. I think that still gets them into the playoffs. I think it all depends on that defense. That defense has to come to play day in and day out, which I really believe they will. Like I said, I've been a part of that scheme before, and my second and third years in the scheme, you understand what the offense is trying to do. You understand that it's only certain ways that you can beat this scheme. So you kind of predict what an offense can run, and if you know what the weaknesses are, you'll excel at it. And I think that's what this defense will do. With that being said, it's the wide receiver position is the one that kind of scares me the most. Amari Cooper is going to do what he's supposed to do. It's been games though in Dallas where he's kind of just seemed lackadaisical, I would say. So I don't think he'll have that problem. I think he understands the magnitude and the impact that he'll have with this team. Seeing that the wide receiver positions isn't that great. But I do believe David Bell comes in and do what he's supposed to do, and I think Nick Chubb's going to do what he's supposed to do. So, with that being said, 10-7, wild card team.
All right, that was going to be my second question: is if they got into the playoffs. So,
well, more importantly, what is after the things we've heard from Jamar Chase today? what is Joe Burrow's QBR going to be targeting Greg Newsome and Denzel Ward? What's it going to be?
Oh man, I can't wait for that game.
What's it going to be, man?
Woo-wee.
That Halloween game?
Now listen. Jamar Chase is talented, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's not going to catch the ball. He's going to be extra motivated. You just sat there and you just said that on TV and everybody know about it. Like, you got to back it up. So you're going to get the absolute best out of everybody that's playing, out of him, Denzel, and G New. Now, if I'm G New, I'm going to Joe Woods and I'm asking for that assignment. Like, listen, wherever Jamar go, I'm going. We call man all you want. I got him all game. That's what I would do personally if I was G New for this. But I think the Browns still beat them because the Browns are undefeated against them for like the past 2 seasons. I think that they do continue to keep that on. I think one of those games, probably not the first game, but the second game, I think Jamar Chase do end up having at least a touchdown in the game. But that first game, that Halloween game, they're going to have a plan for him. So I don't think he's going to have a big impact that first game.
Miles going to lend him his tombstones for wide receivers this year, man.
Hey, well, Tyvis, we really appreciate you joining us tonight. Always love having you on the show. Be sure, guys, to give him a follow at Tyvis and tune into the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Also on 97.1 The Fan. Is there anything else I'm missing? I know you're doing a lot.
Why does everybody keep saying that?
Because you are, man.
You're working your ass off, man.
You grind a lot.
That's really not true. I'm supposed to be doing the Browns pregame and postgame show this year with the Browns radio network. I'm still waiting on them to send that contract over. If we get it done before Friday, I'll probably be doing it Friday for the preseason game. And he has asked me to work that. So, hopefully you catch me on the Browns radio network this year for I think it's the final hour of the pregame show and then 2-hour postgame show with Jeff Phelps.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Heck yeah.
So right now, that's what they're telling me. It's always subject to change, but as we go on this whole season, hopefully that's what I continue to do for this season.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I love hearing that, man. Congratulations on that because that's awesome. I mean, given seriously, I mean, Zach, we know for sure just all the time you put in like over this past year to get to this point. So really congratulations on that. We're going to be, we'll be tuning in, but again, thank you so much for joining us tonight, guys. Follow him at Tyvis. Thanks, man, for joining us, Tyvis. We really appreciate it.
No problem. Go Browns.
Yep. Go Browns.
Go Browns.
And guys, before we end the show tonight, reminder, you guys can give us if you're not following the channel already, that's the first thing we ask you to do. We really would appreciate just hitting that follow button on the network Twitch channel. We really appreciate all that support, but also Jack has a crown right on your screen for you.
Yeah,
all you got
down here. Right down here.
All you got to do, you click that crown and you can subscribe for free with Amazon Prime. And I know you guys people love giveaways. Everyone loves giveaways. Well, if you subscribe to the channel, you'll be eligible to win our next giveaway. We've given away Browns training camp tickets, 2 sets of those. We've given away a Amari Cooper Browns jersey. What's next? Anyone can guess. It's up in the air, but we really appreciate all you guys tuning into us tonight. At 9:30 tonight, we have the Grant P and Maddie B betting show. They are back tonight at 9:30. So thank you all. Please stick around for that. Again, that's at 9:30 live on the Twitch channel. Guys, remember, Best Ball Mania 3 is going on right now at Underdog Fantasy. They will double your first deposit up to $100, but you have to use code 216. Use code 216. Take on your friends today in Best Ball Mania 3. We are the Faithful Dogs podcast. Thank you all for tuning in tonight, and go Browns.
Click the crown.